Imagine walking into a hospital, a place you trust with your life, only to find that the people running it are more interested in profit margins than patient care. What happens when hospitals chase profits instead of patients? This isn't just a hypothetical question, it's a reality that's been unfolding across Africa, and the consequences have been nothing short of chaotic. Spoiler, it's not pretty. When the bottom line becomes the top priority, the people who suffer most are often the ones who can least afford it. Families wait anxiously in crowded corridors, patients grow frustrated as care becomes transactional, and the very spirit of healing is replaced by a cold calculation of costs and revenues. Let's rewind to 2019. That year, a major shift happened in the African healthcare landscape. American private equity giant TPG, a firm known for its aggressive investment strategies, swooped in and bought up a network of hospitals across Africa and Asia. This wasn't just a small business deal, it was a seismic change, with the potential to affect millions of lives across continents. The pitch was irresistible. TPG promised to modernize care for millions, bringing in new equipment, better facilities, and a fresh approach to healthcare management. Their list of investors read like a who's who of global influence: the World Bank, Bill Gates, even Bono. With such big names backing the project, it sounded like a dream come true for communities desperate for better healthcare. But as we've seen time and again, not everything that glitters is gold. Soon after the takeover, the cracks began to show. Complaints started rolling in from patients and staff alike. People who had once trusted their local hospitals now found themselves facing a new reality, one where their health seemed to take a back seat to the relentless pursuit of profit. Patients were suddenly hit with massive bills for procedures and items they didn't need. Take, for example, a woman in Kenya who went to her local hospital expecting care and compassion. Instead, she was blindsided by a bill that made her jaw drop. She was charged for services she never received, and the costs were astronomical compared to what she could afford. One of the most shocking stories to emerge was that of a patient who was billed $500 for 82 face masks in a single day. That's right, 82 masks, supposedly used in just 24 hours. It's hard to imagine how anyone could go through that many masks, but the hospital's new management didn't seem to care. For them, every mask was another line item, another opportunity to squeeze a little more money out of the system. But it wasn't just the patients who felt the impact. Hospital staff, doctors, nurses, and administrators were suddenly under immense pressure to meet aggressive revenue targets. They were pushed to order extra tests, admit more patients, and find new ways to generate income, even if it meant straying from the best interests of those they were supposed to help. Staff meetings became less about patient outcomes and more about financial performance. The pressure was so intense that some doctors reported having to refer 8 out of every 10 patients for extra services, regardless of whether those services were truly necessary. Imagine being a physician, trained to heal, but forced to act as a salesperson, upselling treatments and tests to people who trust you with their lives. The ethical dilemmas were overwhelming, and the stress took a heavy toll on everyone involved. Meanwhile, the people on the front lines, nurses and doctors, felt the pinch in more ways than one. Not only were they overworked, but many also faced pay cuts and constant pressure to do more with less. The demands kept increasing, but the resources didn't. Morale plummeted, and the sense of purpose that drew so many to medicine in the first place began to erode. Some staff members tried to speak up, raising concerns about the direction the hospitals were heading, but instead of being heard, they were silenced. Some lost their jobs for speaking out, while others faced retaliation or were forced to leave quietly. Whistleblowers described a culture of fear, where questioning management's decisions could cost you your livelihood. As the focus on profits intensified, hospitals began running dangerously low on critical supplies. Shelves that once held life-saving medicines and equipment were now empty. Patients were turned away at the door, not because their conditions weren't serious, but because the hospital simply couldn't afford to treat them without risking its bottom line. The safety of both patients and staff was put at risk, all in the name of maximizing returns for investors. And here's the thing. This isn't just an African problem. The same playbook has been used by private equity firms running hospitals all over the world, from the United States to Europe and beyond. The results are eerily similar: less care, more cash, and a growing sense of unease among both patients and providers. When healthcare becomes just another business, the human cost can be staggering. So, we have to ask ourselves, should medicine be a business, or should saving lives always come first? Is it possible to balance financial sustainability with compassionate care, or are the two fundamentally at odds? These are questions that go beyond any one hospital or country. They strike at the very heart of what it means to care for one another. If you want to understand how money shapes the world, and how those changes might affect you and your loved ones, hit subscribe. We'll keep digging into the stories that matter, shining a light on the hidden forces behind the headlines. Because when it comes to healthcare, the stakes couldn't be higher.